Breaking right now, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's left-wing media machine are at it again. And this time, I'm really angry. The left-wing New York Times, remember, that is a publication that the Sussexes have worked closely with for many years. Meghan gave them her only newspaper interview for the launch of her Netflix series With Love. She's also even written for them in the past about her miscarriage, her apparent miscarriage. So what they have done in this new analysis piece, and it's so shocking to me, is blame King Charles and attack Prince William, who they're claiming to be WORKSHY, and saying that the rift in the royal family, totally caused by the Sussexes, by the way, will reflect badly on the legacy of King Charles III. Angela Levin, before we go through the details of this story, it's sickening, isn't it, to think that there are still some people in the mainstream media who can have all of the facts presented to them, who can see the behaviour of Harry and Meghan over so many years, and yet still find a way to blame it on anyone but them, continue to perpetuate their victim narrative.
My first question, whoever wrote this, I would say, are you married? Do you have children? Because that makes a huge difference. It's easy for someone who is not married and doesn't have children, and not close to children, to make all these dramas and say what they should be doing. But if they were in King Charles's shoes, they would not be able to do that. One is, if you can't trust your son to just listen to you and not actually sell what you're saying to somebody else, you could talk to him. You could talk to him if he didn't ask you to start telling the government what they should be doing and what they shouldn't, because it's not that type of monarchy. And the fact that somebody pretends they want to come back, but at the same time, this is Harry, pretends that, but at the same time actually says how revolting they're doing and how bad they are and how they don't know what they're doing and they're trapped and all those nasty comments. So if somebody does that to you and you've got cancer, would he answer in that same way? That's what I would ask. And I bet you any money that he won't have fitted in anywhere there. It's just really nasty. They're just having a go and being very, very rude.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's media machine is in overdrive, and this time they're using the New York Times to push their narrative. According to Dan Wootton, the Times has just released a scathing piece labeling Prince William as WORKSHY and accusing King Charles of failing to unite his family. But let's not forget, this is the same newspaper that Meghan gave her miscarriage story to and the same outlet that's been pushing her victim narrative for years. And now they're shifting the blame for the royal rift onto Charles and William? It's a classic Markle move.
Of course they are. Well, you ask who wrote it, Angela. It's this man, Mark Landler, the London bureau chief of the New York Times. So he's their big gun in London, okay? So this article is very much The View, because we know the New York Times is not a legitimate, impartial news organization. This is the view of the New York Times. So let's just go through some of the key points of the article, Angela. So Mark Landler in the New York Times writes, King Charles III was busy last week marking the 80th anniversary of the Allied victory over Nazi Germany and preparing to fly to Canada to open its parliament later this month. But his public schedule was eclipsed yet again by a highly publicised eruption from his estranged younger son, Prince Harry. It has become a familiar pattern for the 76-year-old monarch. 2 years after his coronation, his reign is shaping up as both eventful and oddly unchanging in its core narrative, that of a beleaguered father managing a messy brood. Harry's emotional plea to be reconciled with his family resurfaced bitter eruptions within the royal family, which has yet to find its footing in the still fledgling Carolina age. There is an overhang in the way we see Charles's reign, said Ed Owens, a historian who writes about the British monarchy. It hasn't really gotten going, nor are we sure how long it will last. Some royal watchers warn that unless Charles finds a way to heal that rift, it could define his reign, undercutting the messages of tolerance and inclusiveness that he has long championed. When history comes to be written about the king, this will reflect badly on him, said Peter Hunt, a former royal correspondent for the BBC. He represents an institution that is about family, unity, and fostering forgiveness. His role is to bring people together, and yet he can't bring people together on his doorstep. The palace appealed to journalists not to focus on the family drama during a week dedicated to VE Day commemorations. Far from calming the waters, Mr. Hunt said that had the effect of keeping the spotlight on Harry longer than necessary. It's a private issue, but they are using the full weight of the institution to respond to him, Mr. Hunt said. Now, Angela, I think this is one of the most horrendously biased New York Times articles I have ever read. That's saying something, by the way, because can I just remind everyone, Angela, the New York Times despises Britain, especially post-Brexit Britain. They are always looking for ways to pour a bucket of mud over the head of Brits and our population and our politics. In some ways, this doesn't surprise me, but I just think it's so fundamentally dishonest because to try and say that Charles and William will come out of this rift with Harry and Meghan on the wrong side of history, I think is so naive, Angela. Just like Wallace Simpson and the Duke of Windsor, mark my words, the people who are going to come out badly of this terrible past few years is not King Charles, it's not William, it's not Catherine, it's not Camilla, it's Harry and Meghan themselves, because they have been exposed on an international stage for lying to try and destroy their family. And guess what, Angela? It didn't work because their public support is at rock bottom, and actually support for the monarchy, support for Charles, support for William has stayed pretty solid.
Weaponize the media, rewrite history, and paint herself and Harry as the innocent victims. But the truth? It's getting harder and harder to hide. Dan's right. It's a PR campaign disguised as journalism, and people are seeing through it. Angela Levin doesn't mince words. According to her, the rift between Harry and William started long before the New York Times got involved. It wasn't about work ethic. It was about Meghan Markle.
Yes, I mean, the interesting thing is you have to think, how long does a father take responsibility for his child's behavior? Harry is now over 40. Isn't he a grown man? Doesn't he have to accept the wrong things that he's doing and the ridiculous relationship he has with a woman who loves to destroy things? He can't stop that, but he doesn't have to be responsible for it. It's a ridiculous attitude, and I don't think that that's how you can be in that sort of, it's always the parents' fault. I don't think it is. And he had a very, very disturbed childhood. Okay, we understand that. But lots of people lose a parent of one kind or another. And like William, they can build it over. You can get better from it up to a certain extent. You'll never forget it because it's the most terrible thing that can happen to a child. But you don't expect that it's the father who's got to take that all the time. And William has looked after Harry ever since he was very small. He's always helped him out before school, after school, when they were both learning how to fly. Harry said to me that actually William is the only person he can really trust, and that they can say anything to each other and they will always forgive something. They are so close, and they've got a very unusual lifestyle. Indeed, they have, because they have to have police going to check if they want to go to a friend from school's house, that there's no danger there. They have to look after them all the time. Someone's always there with them. Of course, it's difficult, but William has done his best. And actually, when he said to Harry, be careful, don't rush to get married so quickly. Maybe you need to be with her a bit longer so that you can really get to know each other. Bang. Harry didn't want to
That was
anymore.
it, exactly. And what William was trying to do was protect him. Angela, what I
Yes.
do find astonishing, though, in terms of the mainstream media coverage, it's like they are always trying to defend the indefensible and also find angles, right, to somehow, I guess, perpetuate a positive narrative about Meghan. And Liz Jones in the Daily Mail has now done another 180 because she started as a big fan, right, Angela? Then she became a critic. Now she's saying, after those Beyonce pictures, the startling truth about Meghan and Harry's relationship after their big night out and why it's a lesson for Charles and the royals. And I'm like, Angela, look at those pictures again, right? Gross, all over each other, acting like Kardashians. What on earth can Liz Jones think is the lesson for Charles and the royals out of this?
No, but I don't listen to her really. I mean, her relationships have been unbelievable. She's not been someone who's actually studied relationships. She's earned a very, very good living to tell readers about her own relationships, which, you know, make you gasp sometimes if you read it. So it's a nonsense. It's not Harry. It's not Charles's thing to responsibility. But what she did do, and that makes her slightly better in my eyes, as you will appreciate now, is that she said that Camilla was much better because she didn't try and turn somebody into someone who was not that person, and that she was very relaxed and easy with Charles. And that's what made a very happy relationship.
Angela reveals that William warned Harry not to rush into marriage, urging him to take more time to get to know Meghan before tying the knot. But Harry took it as a personal attack, and from that moment on, the brothers were on different paths. And now Meghan and Harry are using the New York Times to rewrite the narrative, making it seem like William was the lazy brother while Harry was the only one putting in the work. But who's really been working here? Harry, the man who spent more time in courtrooms and Netflix studios than actually helping his family? It's a classic case of projection. Blame William for being work-shy to distract from Harry's own failures.
But Meghan is one, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, you cannot please her. She's not pleased with anything. If she has a dress that costs £10,000, the next one she wants that's even more expensive, whatever it is, she can't feel that now I'm relaxed, I've got what I wanted, I've got a husband I love at home, 2 children at home, you know, and I now have got my own things, cooking this and boiling that. I'm so happy. This is what I've wanted. It's not. It's fighting and fighting for more. Somebody
Well,
who
Angela,
is so
even if
desperate.
she's happy, look at the impact it's had on Prince Harry. I was so shocked when someone did this side by side of him in 2021 compared to him in 2025. I mean, it doesn't look like he's aged 4 years. It looks like he's aged about 4 decades. And at the same time, Angela, there's all of this talk about this doorbell picture. What the hell was he doing, strutting up and down on his own these streets of London, looking wired on his phone? And I want to show you, Angela, before I get your reaction, some of Link Lauren, who's a brilliant guest here, sometimes on Outspoken, really sharp American commentator who's just launched his own podcast, Spot On, as part of the Megyn Kelly MK network. And this was his take, Angela.
So Prince Harry wants us to believe that the UK is so unsafe he could never bring his children to his homeland. I could never go. I don't have security. I need the police to follow me around. He is a liar. That is a bunch of buffoonery, tomfoolery, and malarkey, because clearly the man is going door to door like a gigolo you call an order on the phone, looking for his friend. He's looking for his friend, Prince Harry. You're out there looking for your friend. I'm sure you are looking for your friend because you didn't want to go back to Meghan Markle. Now, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they are going overboard to show you they are in love. And they do this anytime William and Catherine are in the news.
I think Link's got a lot of that spot on, which is obviously the name of his new podcast, Angela. But what did
He's
you
very
make
funny.
of, he's great,
very
isn't he?
funny.
But what did you make, as Prince Harry's biographer, what did you make of this very worrying picture? And is there something dodgy going on?
Well, what struck me was that when I was going round with him to engagements, and everything was laid out for him. The aides, he didn't need to know where he was going. He would be taken there, no trouble at all, nothing. It was just very, very easy. But here, he'd forgotten the address, apparently, of so-called friends, and he didn't know what to do. Well, it showed me that in the 5 years since he's left being a member of the royal family, he doesn't know how to find a place. He hasn't learned yet that if you want to go, and you have to be absolutely sure, especially if you're scared of walking down the street and there's nobody there to look after you, you don't go knocking on a door, because it's dangerous. You should know that by 40 years old, but also that he needs to write it down, get a phone number, which he apparently hadn't got, and actually check, is the person in? Ring them up. It's modern age, and find out if it's all right if you pop round. But actually, this was a desperation of somebody who had to find someone who would talk to him and be friendly.
And here's where things get truly sickening. The New York Times doesn't just go after William. They go after King Charles, accusing him of failing to unite the family while he's literally fighting for his life. Dan Wootton calls it a vicious attack, and he's not wrong. According to Angela Levin, Charles is struggling to manage the chaos Harry and Meghan have created, while also dealing with a serious health crisis. And now, the New York Times is using his battle with cancer as a weapon against him, suggesting that his reign will be defined by family division.
Angela, what do you make of the fact that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are touting these new staff members? So for Meghan, she's hired an ex-assistant to Bill Gates as her chief of staff, this poor woman called Sarah Fossmo. Oh, God, you've got the worst job in the world, love. What are you thinking? I hope they're paying you enough. But what's interesting, Angela, is that Harry, who, remember, failed to find a chief of staff to replace Josh Kettler, who was only there for less than 3 months. He left before his trial period ended. Has promoted someone called Leanne Cashnin. Now, she might be a great woman for all I know, but she was just his former assistant, his former EA, like a PA, a runaround to do stuff. Now, again, nothing wrong with backing your own people, but it's interesting, isn't it? These hires almost look to me as if Harry is almost giving up and saying, I just need someone to help me out. Meghan is now driving the business. At the same time, how is this Sarah Posno going to relaunch a business which is completely tanking?
Well, the thing is, it's a waste of time getting somebody who's senior and will know how to advise you, because Meghan does not take advice. She only listens to herself because she thinks she knows best. That's all right, you do that. But everything fails, everything fails. And so she needs to listen and follow. She won't do that. Harry will only listen to Meghan, so he can get somebody fairly low down who will, because he will have to make sure it's okay with Meghan. We've got to that stage where he's in, I think, a terrible place where she thinks she's got wonderful things to do ahead. And now she's going to start at the second time with all her cooking and her baking and all the things that she wants to do. Well, how do you stop that? Why do you actually, you're not at school and you've just stopped for work. If you're doing that, it should be organized enough that it carries on. Do you then have a long break, which everyone will forget about, and then she's going to do the same old things again? But I don't think having a very top person to help you is actually going to change everything, because she won't let them. She will not. You can't tell her what to do. You can't advise her. You can't say, don't do this. This is going to be awful for people. They've had it before and it didn't work. Please, shall we not try sprinkles on salad? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, it doesn't matter who you've got, does it?
She's concerned with herself.
Doesn't matter who you've got. This is almost a completely desperate mission. At the same time, Angela, another blow for Prince Harry, his childhood priest telling him to stop being a victim. Who is this and what's going on here?
Well, I think this is absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. This was the priest who was with him when he was at school, and she talked to her little ginger boy quite a great deal. And she went to his mother's funeral, and she's known him very well. Now, you just imagine how worried, how concerned, and how wanting to help she is, because otherwise she wouldn't write about this and say, if you need me, I'm there for you. I mean, it's absolutely extraordinary that somebody should do that. And she tells him off. She said, you told off your father, you said you wanted to be with him, but that wasn't a real didn't have a real meaning there. You added something else to it, so you took the essence away. I mean, she's very, very open about this. Marvelous woman, apparently, and she's had the courage to actually tell him to pull himself together. And I just wonder if. I don't know how religious he is, or whether he would feel that this is the one person he can pour out all the things he feels, because she knows what he was like before his mother died, once she died, and now he's in such trouble that she might be the only type of person who can help him. And I wouldn't be surprised at that, because she would be kind, she wouldn't tell anybody, and she would help him. I mean, I've felt for a long time that all the therapists he's been going to have been useless, because they haven't got him an inch better than how he was. Whereas I think a priest like this woman, who's known him and known him with his mother and how much he's loved his mother, she will say, it's time you moved on, which is what she wants to do.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed, in a way.
Angela Tilby is her name.
Yes,
So
yes.
very interesting. She looks like a kind woman as well.
But let's be honest, the only ones causing division are Meghan and Harry, and they're using the media to paint themselves as victims while tearing the family apart. That's the real story, Harry and Meghan's campaign of emotional blackmail, not Charles being work-shy. And let's not forget, the New York Times is a trusted PR ally for Meghan Markle. This is the same outlet that Meghan gave her miscarriage story to, using them to control the narrative and paint herself as the victim of a cold-hearted royal family. And now they're back to doing her bidding, attacking William and Charles while ignoring Harry's lies and Meghan's manipulation tactics.
Angela, can we talk about this lovely new picture of Catherine and William? It's really stunning. Great body language there, isn't it? They're clearly so happy at the moment, and they're not trying too hard, which I think if you compare that picture, for example, to the picture of Harry and Meghan at the Beyonce concert, there's such a contrast. But they're putting this out, Angela, because they are releasing a new series of nature videos, one per season. We'll take a look at the first in just one moment, but set this up for us.
It's actually Catherine that's done them. It's Catherine who's done them. She's speaking about them all. So it's something lovely for her to take under her own arms. I think that should really be able to help a lot of people who feel upset or depressed, or there's no hope for them in the future. Because if you look at everything there that she chose was absolutely beautiful. And you can look at it and say, oh, thank goodness I've got even this chance to see such beautiful things. And hopefully you can feel a bit better. It's a marvelous idea, I think, and it works beautifully. Look, really.
Oh, beautiful. You're such a softie, Angela. I love it. Yes. I love it. But no, it is so special. And of course, she's referring to the fact, Angela, too, again, that nature has got her through this cancer recovery project. Yes. And I just think back, Angela, it wasn't that long ago that there were royal authors like Robert Jobson writing that they feared Catherine might not return to work. And there were so many doubts about what her commitments would be. And yet, actually, I think she has come back from this life-changing experience, I guess is what you would put it, with an even more focused vision of what her role is and what type of queen she wants to be.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And it's something that she can handle because it's something that's very, very important to her. She's had the experience of it. It saved her life, she seems to indicate, or given her the courage to go through such a terrible time. And with her husband by her side and the children by her side, they're very good. They adore her. And that actually she will be a wonderful queen, I think. Absolutely, because she understands people's feelings and emotions, but she won't be pushed around, which is a lovely combination.
According to Dan, it's a calculated media move. Distract from Meghan and Harry's PR disasters by throwing William and Charles under the bus. And the worst part? People are starting to see through the game. It's not just desperate, it's disgusting. Meghan isn't just playing the media. She's weaponizing it against her own family. Angela Levin makes a powerful prediction. At some point, William and Charles will have to respond to these relentless attacks. Whether it's through stripping titles, cutting off funding, or simply going silent, the royal family can't stay silent forever. But what will Harry and Meghan do when the media well runs dry? Will they turn on each other? Will Meghan distance herself from Harry to save her brand? Stay tuned, because this saga is far from over. Alright, that's the explosive breakdown of the New York Times hit piece on William and Charles, as Meghan and Harry's media allies go on the offensive. If you think Meghan is behind the scenes pulling the strings, hit that like button, subscribe for more explosive royal drama, and drop a comment below. Is Meghan manipulating the media to attack William and Charles? Let me know what you think.